everybody, it's Cliff again. I thought it was time for a costume change, so I'm now in my green shirt while the blue shirt is in the laundry and getting a well-deserved cleanup. Anyway, we have much more important things to talk about than my clothing. This chapter, this module that we're going to do now is a module in terms of getting to know yourself better. I've entitled it Know Thyself. It has nothing biblical. However, it's probably critical and absolutely important to the fulfillment of this process. People may ask why. Well, there's absolutely clear research from a neurological perspective that more self-awareness, more understanding of what we do and our behaviors has a significant impact on both our success and our meaning in life, and importantly, on the way we conduct our relationships, which we're coming to later. What's been interesting for me is that in the last 5 to 6 years, people who are very scientifically oriented have gone about trying to understand the necessity for having self-awareness, and all of them, without any doubt, have pointed out, researched, and developed the importance of self-awareness as a concept. Now, historically, right from the early Greek philosophers, Greek and Roman philosophers, people have been trying to understand why people do what they do, why certain behaviors manifest. It started out in the very early days where character was described in terms of bodily functions almost. We then had a series of attempts to try and understand behavior from the astrologers who say to you, if you're a Taurus, never ever marry a Sagittarian, it's not going to work. Or if you get your daily newspaper, the first thing you do is you turn to the back page where the daily horoscopes are written up. We know that while it's very interesting, very funny, and at times really resonates with us, the scientific basis for it is questionable. In the early 1900s, 1905, a very prominent Swiss psychiatrist by the name of Carl Gustav Jung formulated a theory of character traits using two basic concepts, introversion and extroversion, as the key characteristics of behavior. Introversion being you take your behavior and your emotions and you keep them inside. You're reserved. You don't express very easily. Extroversion, you take those emotions and those feelings and you express them easily. You're more gregarious. You're more people-oriented. There was no real judgment placed on the two concepts. You can be as successful as an introvert as you can be as an extrovert. So there was absolutely no judgment placed on the two concepts. A lot of his work was lost, unfortunately, in 2 world wars. There was lots of changes he belonged to the group of psychoanalysts. There was lots of changes in those days. And then a very interesting concept emerged in the 1940s, a guy named William Sheldon, where he then described character in relation to body type. If you were a very large person, the perception was that you were happy and joyous and full of fun and full of life, which we know in fact not to be true. If you are a very slim, slight person, then you were perhaps more anxious. There was some somatic connections, but it's very, very scanty research. Probably the most prominent researcher came out from Berkeley University in 1958 with a very controversial professor of behavioral sciences with the name of Timothy Leary. He was controversial for many, many reasons. One of the real controversies that he got involved with was that he was treating people with mental health problems using LSD. In my days, we called it acid, lysergic acid diethylmide, in the treatment of certain psychiatric disorders with mixed results. He certainly got some success, but with mixed results. And he developed 4 basic character traits, put them into a matrix. On the one hand, assertiveness, and on the other hand, participative, and on the other axis, formal and informal. And he placed these into a behavioral style matrix. And it has been used since then, over and over and over again, for different reasons, for hiring reasons, for giving insight into behavior, and is still a very powerful model. And we're going to look at that model during this process. So you're going to fill in a questionnaire, and we're going to give you some feedback about where you fit on this matrix. There's many ways that we can look at it, and you're probably going to say it's very static and situational, and it is. But if you read the text on this matter, you will see that it is become very reliable and very good at predicting certain parts of people's behavior. We're then going to have a look at a concept also developed in the 60s by a guy called Eric Berne, who wrote a very prominent and famous book called Games People Play. And we're going to use those two important concepts to analyze, to take a look at your present makeup, if you want, at your present state of behavior, actions, thoughts, and perceptions, in order to project us further into the analysis of values, goals, and relationships. I'm not going to say too much about that. I'm going to just ask you please to read the text, which gives us good insight into the two models. And once you've done that, to complete the surveys. For those of you who have opted for the call, personal call with me, book your appointment immediately. I'm waiting for it, and I get very excited when I see people booking their calls so that we can sit, analyze, and link some of the dots and concerns that you may have. It's great to be with you again. I'm Cliff Matthews and cannot wait to see you in the next module.